It is no news that Traoré is taking significant steps to distance himself from ECOWAS. In a significant move, Ibrahim Traoré, the man who is seen as problematic by the West, has landed another blow on ECOWAS. Burkina Faso has launched new biometric passports without the logo of West Africa's main political and economic bloc on their cover. You should have many questions running through your mind at this time. Will this spark another problem in the country? How is the bloc going to react to this? Well, we are going to be answering some of these questions in today's video. But before we do so, whatever is happening in Burkina Faso.
Hey man, y'all know what time it is, man. Shalom, shalom, man. It's your brother Dalayahu from Nus Babal. And we're back with another video. We're taking a look at some updated news right here. What's happening with Burkina Faso, the situation in West Africa. Very highly publicized situation. Everybody, the whole world, whole FBA world, whole diaspora, got our eyes glued on what's happening over there in Burkina Faso, because we know the brother Ibrahim Traoré has taken over the country. He's doing the right thing, and the other people, the colonial powers, don't like that. So this move right here is one I want to share with you guys, because I feel like this is a huge infrastructure move. It's something that's like, whether no matter what happened to him tomorrow, what he's doing for the country today is going to elevate their status regardless. So this is some big news. Again, what's happening on the continent, Nus Babal, global news. Check it out, man. And now we're going to continue to talk about it.
Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traoré has unveiled a new generation biometric passport that no longer carries the logo of the Economic Community of West African States. The new passport's electronic chip enables more sophisticated data collecting and storage, along with improved security measures. Security Minister Mohamed Husana said, "This new document enables online pre-registration, flexible registration whether online or offline, and instant data transmission to embassies." The minister confirmed that existing passports will remain valid until their expiration, while applicants for the new biometric version will pay a fee of 50,000 West African CFA francs. However, additional services linked to the new passport may incur extra charges, he noted. The passport, made from polycarbonate, was developed by the Chinese company Imtech. One small detail to remember is that Burkina Faso is the first West African nation, and the 10th in Africa, to adopt this state-of-the-art identification technology, in line with international civil aviation standards.
I feel like all that's a big deal, because like I say, this is development. Even the other ECOWAS countries ain't do, Nigeria, Ghana, and these huge countries. Everybody talk about these countries when they talk about Africa, but this small country, again, they changing their alliances, not just depending on Europe, and they going to China for a lot of things, because China offer all type of government, it's business to business services, contractors that service government contracts. They do stuff that governments need. You can't just go to Europe for everything. America, you ain't got enough money for these business, Fortune 500 companies that service, again, the other countries around the world, like most of the countries around the world. The countries in Africa need all these government services, but they need them on a budget-friendly basis. And China is just, obviously they got cheap products, but they got a lot of administrative services that governments need, that countries in Africa not only going to be relying on Europe for. So it's a big deal how they starting to change their palate and their appetite, things that they offer, and just the choices they have for their government administration services. You go to other countries and you get it done, administered extremely effectively and immediately, and that's the big deal. It raises the infrastructure, raises the bar of what's happening over there in West Africa and in Africa in general.
The new passport comes after Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger withdrew from the ECOWAS in 2023 due to threats from the regional bloc about military intervention in response to a coup in Niger. Since then, the three countries have joined forces to form the Alliance of Sahel States and have created a combined military force to combat the security threats that terrorist organizations in the area pose. They also cut military and cooperation ties with former colonial power friends and turned to Russia for security support. These three countries started working hand in glove after the Niger coup, which ousted President Bazoum. Niger's military leaders announced that Burkina Faso and Mali had pledged their support to the coup leaders and offered military assistance if Niger was attacked. It is worth noting that in August 2023, ECOWAS agreed on a D-Day for possible military intervention to restore democracy in Niger. The bloc said most of its member states were ready to participate in a standby force that could intervene in Niger. This could not happen because of the strong alliance formed by these countries. In the nearly 50 years that the bloc has existed, this is the first time that its members are standing against it in this way. According to analysts, it represents a further danger to the stability of the region and an extraordinary blow to the group. Note that the 15-nation regional bloc economic community of West African states was established in 1975 with one goal: to promote cooperation and integration, to raise the living standards of its people, and to maintain and enhance economic stability.
And that's the crazy part. They talking about ECOWAS trying to get them back into the union, all these other things like that. But 50 years, this federation, this conglomerate of countries, they ain't do nothing for these countries. And they talk about helping them fight terrorism worse than ever. So again, that's why I think it's a great move, because all of these, the passport, biometric stuff, there's issues of, again, infrastructure. It's an infrastructure issue. It's a technology issue. They're raising the standards in all these aspects in the country, in Burkina Faso, with this decision. But also it's a security factor. Ultimately, that's going to help them, again, control their borders and implement higher levels of security when they up some of the technology standards. So looking like a good move, man.
Since then, it has developed as the leading political authority in the area, frequently working with states to address domestic issues ranging from politics to the economy and security. But have they been raising the living standards of their people? This is clearly not the case. If they were doing so, then these countries would not have been looking for ways to exit them. Burkina Faso, as well, would have maintained their logo on its passports. Many believe that ECOWAS has lost the respect and allegiance of many West Africans. They believe that it does not adequately represent their interests in a region where people have long complained that their country's abundant natural resources do not help them. This recent move by Burkina Faso will further destabilize the already fragile political landscape of West Africa, potentially emboldening extremist groups and fueling regional security concerns. You should be aware of the terminations that were carried out by extremist groups affiliated to Al-Qaeda in the country, which cost the lives of about 300 people.
We talked about
If you were not with us on this, we will be telling you more about it in some few minutes. Traoré's recent blow on ECOWAS could shrink the bloc's market, potentially impacting trade flows, investment opportunities, and economic growth across the bloc. If Traoré has begun with this trend, this only means one thing: Niger and Mali will soon release a communique in the same light. Do you believe Captain Ibrahim Traoré is the one calling the shots in this alliance of Sahel states? Ponder on this and leave your comments as we continue. However, we know that these countries have had different problems with the bloc, and this only means the leaders of these countries know what they are doing, and not eventually Traoré telling them what to do. We can remember when huge crowds gathered in Mali's capital Bamako and other towns in January 2022 to denounce sanctions imposed on the country by the ECOWAS and West African Economic and Monetary Union. Protesters responded.
It's the main reason why these people have to do their own thing. Because when they try to show any type of sovereignty, which every nation is supposed to be sovereign, they're supposed to be able to make their own decision. When they try to show that, you got ECOWAS bringing sanctions, they doing this, pulling the same tactics like the developed nations, like Europe would do, like the United States would do. So they treating them like they don't have their own sovereignty. And then you wonder why people separating themselves from y'all. So it looked like Burkina Faso best option, you know, to do their own thing.
To a televised address by the transitional president and military leader, Colonel Assimi Goïta, in which he described the sanctions as illegal, illegitimate, and inhumane, and invited public mobilization to denounce them. The sanctions made many Malians angry and awakened a sense of patriotism that benefited the transitional government. The diplomatic, trade, and financial restrictions included a trade embargo and the freezing of Mali's assets at the Central Bank of West African States. The measures were intended to isolate Mali, weaken its economy, and encourage citizens to pressure their leaders into speeding up elections, adding to the external pressure from the country's main diplomatic partners. But the strategy did not work. By repeatedly imposing sanctions, the organization was seen in Mali as a punisher rather than a partner. Many have forgotten the bloc's central role in helping Mali's armed forces fight insecurity since the crisis started. While the military commanders of the three countries concentrate on looking for new alliances, analysts predict that ECOWAS will look to maintain discussions with the military leaders on how to best maintain peace in the area. The previously cordial ties between the three countries and the wealthier countries of the West and Europe had deteriorated. Russia is now in the picture. Russia has extended greater hospitality and persists in exploiting anti-French feeling by portraying itself to African states as a nation that is very powerful and willing to work.
The flags look similar. The Russian flag and France flag. Oh no, like they trade one colonizer for another, but definitely Russia got a different approach to Africa, really helping the African leaders and the nations really, like I say, implement their sovereignty and make better decisions, raise the standard of their defense and security measures. So it's happening a lot, man. Another note, man, y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the channel too.
Numerous Russian private and state-owned companies have signed several agreements and memorandums of understanding on civil nuclear cooperation, military technical cooperation, natural resource mining, gold refinery construction, and telecommunications with the AES states since September 2023. China has also been a leading economic partner for the AES states due to its willingness to work with the military leaders to continue expanding its pre-existing investments in Mali and Niger in particular. Turkey and Iran too are not left out from the countries that are working with these military leaders. These countries are getting all the help they need from other countries, and so they do not feel the absence of the bloc. However, there have still been some security lapses in these countries. An armed group linked to al-Qaeda has claimed responsibility for what it says was an attack that terminated up to 300 people and injured at least 140 in central Burkina Faso. The attack took place in the region of Barisaco, about 40 kilometers north of the strategic town of Kaya, and it is said to be one of the biggest attacks in recent years. The al-Qaeda-linked group said they targeted just militia members linked to the army. Several videos apparently filmed by the militants and released on social media showed dozens of bodies in trenches, most of them in civilian clothing. According to a hospital source in Kaya, more than 100 injured people were being treated in the city's largest hospital after the attack. The people are devastated, especially as Putin decided to withdraw a total of 100 troops from the Bears Brigade after these attacks. Putin has said that his reason for withdrawing these troops is for them to aid in the Ukrainian war that is going on. Many people believe that Russia is withdrawing some of these troops as a result of the recent attacks that wiped out most of them. Do you believe this might be the case? The Bears Brigade commander Viktor Yermoliev has denied these claims, stating that all Russian soldiers forget about internal problems and unite against common enemies, especially when an enemy arrives on their Russian territory. It is not clear how the Burkina Faso junta plans to compensate for the loss of military support after the partial withdrawal of the Bear Brigade. However, Burkina Faso's government has vowed a decisive response after this terror attack. Interim President Traoré has made fighting terrorism a top priority. Let us take note that it is not all tears in Burkina Faso at the moment, as Ibrahim Traoré has just retaken Bangu and Wagnian gold mines from a British company said to be the largest miner in Africa.
It's a couple things happening. We're going to talk about the gold mine and stuff, but this issue with the passport was a big deal. And like we talked about, it's one video talking about a couple things. They talk about the passport issue. They talk about how this relate to the security threats they've been having, the terrorists, the insurgencies. Talked about the gold mine and nationalization that he did, taking back some of the gold mines in his country. So all those things very crucial. And also talked about the 100 Russian soldiers that they took out because, again, their own war escalating in Ukraine. And it's so much stuff to talk about. We definitely gonna get back on that video, higher frequency, putting out more videos, because we talk about fleeing Babylon, we talk about getting out of confusion, leaving the West. All these things very relevant. We need to know where to go, what's happening in these different regions. It's a lot happening in Europe right now. Ukraine and Russia, they got their own problems. China, they got their own problems with the economy. But Africa is for us. Africa is for Africans. And what's happening in West Africa is commendable. He is making some upgrades. Like I say, all of this stuff with the passport, that is further separating them and doing two things. It further separate them from ECOWAS, but it's helping them to upgrade their security profile so they can know who they citizens, who not, who recent. You say you this place, you coming from this place, where your passport at? Why you ain't got the new one? If you just, you know what I'm saying, you recently got a passport, why you ain't got the one we giving out? And that's important to just know about the insurgency, the terrorists, to separate and divide these things. And we see Russia can only do so much. They got their own war to fight. So if you're gonna fight a war in your own country, in your homeland, in Africa, we got to raise the security profile, make sure we got measures in place to screen people, right? That's a part of security, you know what I'm saying? Identifying threats. So all these things is very important. And again, you know, the General Ibrahim Traore, very smart brother, and he making smart moves. Again, he's something happened to him tomorrow. It's something that nobody can reverse. That's gonna be these new people, new passport. They upgrade in their security and technology standard, and that's a blessing for all of Africa. And we gotta just be quicker to, you know, pay attention to the international standards, get on these standards, have our people learn about them, figure out the technology, and we can start innovating with the technology, right? So we watching the small steps of Africa trying to catch up, you know, and it's amazing to watch. As long as the president, again, he stay healthy and they keep their sovereignty and they able to make decisions that's in the best interest of their own population and people, nobody should have a problem with that. So again, the updates we're gonna cover what's happening with the gold mines. We talked about that already. He banned gold exports. We talked about this terror insurgency attack. That was unfortunate, but we know that the war continuing. They're still battling against the insurgents, but they still have firm control. So it's been another update with your brother Dalayahu. Again, if you like Yahuah, you love Yahuah, smash the like button. If you made this far, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss no more updates. Coming out with all the global updates, global news. This stuff is very relevant. Trying to flee Babylon. Hit us up, you know, book a call with us, the one-on-one consultation. We can tell you about everything you need to know, whether that's coming here to Tanzania or anywhere in Africa. We can give you guys advice on that. We've done it plenty of times. So with that said, stay tuned, subscribe, because what's important now is to know the height and the temperature of these geopolitical global situations. It's a lot changing, so you got to keep your eye on to the streets, keep your eye on the ball. So to the next video, family, I'm gonna say shalom and peace, man.